Hey, how goes it? Ken Bozak here to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories. And today I'm with my Canadian Canuck bro, Sean Hebert, as
Hey
I
guys,
yanked the earphone right out of his
who
head.
needs
All right, we're
earphones?
doing this together. It's my first time doing a streaming with strangers podcast with a co-pilot. So yeah, why don't we give our guest a chance to introduce yourself? Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know who you are, how you got into crypto, and kind of what you're doing now in the space?
Uh, my name is Alicia Snow proper, but I go by Hiroja Shai. And I started out in Dogecoin. I heard about Bitcoin around 2010 when most people were not even into it or even talked about it or heard about it. And I thought it was like the craziest thing. You're just going to print money online. You're going to give it to each other. It's going to somehow have value. And the government is not going to come down and knocking on your door and take everything you have. I was like, yeah, good luck with that. Because I think at the time I heard about it, there was a lot of stuff with like taxes. I think the Wesley Snipes thing was going on.
Oh
And,
yeah,
and
tax evasion.
old people have tried forever. Yeah, tax evasion. The gold people forever have tried to make their own little gold coins and pass it around each other. I was living in Las Vegas, and they talk about how people used to, and they still do it. It's not legal, but they used to, pass casino chips and would pay with casino chips in grocery stores and like in the 40s and the 50s, and the government shut that shit down. But now people just kind of pass it, under the table, tip the stripper or whatever, and you
Yep.
accept it. You go to whatever casino the chip is from and get the cash if you need it.
Mhm.
So I was like, yeah, good luck with that, guys. Yeah, that's gonna totally work out. No one's gonna come for you. Sure enough, nobody for anybody.
Well,
It
not only
just
that, but
blossomed and bloomed.
but how many people made fake casino chips back in the day before they started increasing security on them, and then they have
Oh,
to
they
exactly.
still make fake casino chips. They get it from like the chips, the little microchips from China from the same manufacturers, just like they do with the fake shoes and the fake phones and stuff like that. It's a big deal, and it's actually a thing now where certain types of art, if you're into the art scene, like certain forgeries are famous because of the type of forger who made it and the way the techniques they can actually value. Like some of these casino chips, the fake ones, among collectors, it's not like a regular thing. Among collectors, can actually have value, and they pass it around and stuff like that. And it's crazy the kind of things that people will do. And I was like, I looked at it. I didn't read the white paper. I looked at like the initial Reddit subreddit, which had like maybe like a couple thousand people on it or something like that. There wasn't like much activity. I was like, it smelled like a scam. It smelled like a pipe dream. There's no way this is going to exist. It's a great idea. There's lots of great ideas, but I thought it was going to get squashed, and it didn't. And I kept hearing about it. And so in 2012, I finally really started looking into it. And it's very difficult. It was very difficult to kind of get into Bitcoin back then. You had to order Bitcoin through like money orders. You had to like
Yeah, like that was
trust
the local
people.
Bitcoins route, man. That was sketchy back then. Now they've got make
I
KYC mandatory, so it's a little bit
now there
safer,
came
but it's a
yeah,
double-edged sword.
it is a double-edged sword. I think I used a place that got shut down because the IRS, I think it was, or the SEC said that Bitcoin was property, and you had to have a money transmitter license. And so a lot of the early exchanges got shut down. And one of them was ExpressCoin, where I just mailed them a money order. 3 days later, it popped into my wallet. I transferred it out of my ExpressCoin wallet. Don't keep it on any type of exchange, and it went from there. But just trying to get into the technicalities of Bitcoin early on was hard. Like I didn't know what a DAT file is. I had never heard of that type of file before. I knew what like a PNG was, JPEG, GIF, doc, but I never heard what a DAT file was. I didn't really know what a registry was I was always told never touch the registry. Yet, to order to get into Bitcoin or understand the software and download it, you have to go into all sorts of different avenues. And it was very difficult early on. You had to do a lot of reading, and there's not the kind of tutorials that we do now. There's not the YouTube videos. Andreas was just starting out. There was hardly any like podcast or any information. So you had to really like shift through a bunch of information, and at the same time it was also hard asking questions because some people were like, well, you're stupid. How do you not know what a DAT file is? Like, I don't know what a DAT file is.
We're still dealing with that. I thought it was now. People come in and are like, "Oh, you didn't know what a private key was? You're an idiot." And it's like, we need to be more encouraging. So I was just curious, like, what are some of the projects?
That's why I went to Dogecoin.
Well, besides like Dogecoin, what are some of the projects that appeal to you throughout the year? Because this has been a crazy year. We've probably seen a bajillion projects come and go. What were some of the ones that kind of caught your eye?
A lot that caught my eye are stuff that actually hasn't come quite to fruition, but might take time, like storage coin. There's the storage coin, BitNation, which is kind of, over time, is kind of scuzzy, like the whole decentralized organization of countries or people online.
Yeah, I met them in Portugal. Really cool.
Yeah, they're really cool, and the stuff they've done has come and gone. There's some things that they say they're going to do something, doesn't quite come to fruition, and it's a lot of it is like really big ideas, and people are not realizing that you have to actually put the work in. It takes time to bake the idea, if you will. Some of the ICOs that were out there, like Poet, which is supposed to be like a way to certify that the individual is writing the document that you're doing, like a verified like journalist or whatever, and you can follow or invest them.
That's po.et.
BitTube. Yeah, po.et, fascinating me, but some of this stuff takes time, and then you get these like ICO things, or what happened with 10x, how 10x is completely collapsed. The whole senior debit card and stuff like that, all those have collapsed. I don't think there is a debit card out there now with cryptocurrency.
And no, there's a few.
Not in Canada.
WireX? Not even WireX?
No.
No? Damn.
None of them got banks now by MasterCard or Visa.
Yeah, I think Pondiax is doing their own thing, like a crypto kind of card, but it's not like... It's not like, fiat backed. It's crypto to crypto. It's a blockchain portal. But I mean, BitPay, ShiftCard, WireX, there's a couple of them. But yeah, they're all Visa or MasterCard.
Visa or MasterCard, but I think like you can't go to Europe with them. I think one of them got shut down. I think it might have been BitPay, or they had to switch banks.
No, I can use Visa anywhere in the world. Yeah. I've traveled all over the world, and I was able to use my BitPay Visa card in Spain, Portugal, I mean,
Canada.
Canada. Everywhere I go, I'm able to use that. That's why I like it. It takes my Bitcoin and it makes it usable anywhere Visas accept it.
Yeah, and I think there was one that did get shut down in Europe, but maybe BitPay is the one that survived. And it's like, it's interesting to see how this space has changed from the very beginning to what it is now, to where you're going to have to see like whether or not people really want to be in this space. They really want to make it develop and make it work. Because it's nice to have a grand idea, but there's all sorts of people with grand ideas. You have to put forth the work and effort, and I think that's what 2017 taught a lot of people with these ICOs, with the different projects that are out there. Basically, it seems like the collapse of Ethereum is happening before our eyes right now.
Yeah, I think that's just the morale around it, not so much the actual technology itself. I just think it may be that centralized stronghold on it that may be kind of going its way. But I kind of wanted to say, like you were saying, like it's all about putting in the work. I was just wondering, like, what have you done in 2017? What has like the year been like for you? This whole financial and emotional roller coaster, from 300 to 20,000 back down to 3,000. It's been a crazy year all in general. What have you been doing in the space to keep yourself busy? I know you have like a podcast and stuff.
What I've done personally is just I've taken a step back, and because I've been burnt and scammed in this space, and I took a step back from the space for a moment, and I just watched, and I was like, where are we going, and why are we here? And I was really like looking at the philosophies of the different people and the different projects of like, why are they in this space, and do they really mean what they're saying? For the, like, actually you said with Ethereum, there seems to be like a lot of technical projects and people are putting the work around there, but it seems like the people that rallied around these projects were not there for the same reasons. They were for the rich gets, rich quick schemes.
Yeah,
Like if they got
totally.
Ethereum when it was like when it first started, or 10 cents, and it goes and shoots up to 1,000, they're thinking like every single project's going to be like that, and it's not the case. And at the same time, like with Casper and sharding and seeing how the split, like what really kind of distanced me from the space for a moment was the split between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, the hard fork, because you had that moment where you see like, okay, there's people that were small blockers, there's people who are big blockers, people can go this way or that way, and just watching how the space shifted and split, and then seeing how people reacted to that and how the market reacted to it. It seemed like the different philosophies were actually like all the stuff that people talk about when they talk about economics and libertarianism and all that stuff. Instead of it being on paper, it was actually real world. And I thought it would be more important to observe this instead of participate in it so much actively, just to see like, okay, what is really going to happen? Are the market values of storage value really matter, or is it spending? Is it this? Is it that? And just finding people clashing and seeing how that happens. And I think we're finally seeing like what actually works, particularly when we're seeing with what's going on with Bitcoin Cash and how that's just exploded into a bunch of funness if you're just into memes and just watching people just, I don't know, be weird to me personally. But with Ethereum, which I found very disappointing because I was very much into the whole concept of a world computer, is like I would like to see this stuff get launched, like Casper. I would like to see the sharding being on the platform. I would like to see these ICOs succeed. I'd like to see people be able to develop all these dApps and decentralized platforms. And some of them are out there and some of them are getting traction, but I think we're just a little early, and it's going to take time. It's probably going to take about 5 or 10 years for some of this stuff to actually work, and it's a matter of patience. And I think because we live in this very quick digital world, people want things now and they don't want to wait.
Well, one of the big things was that through the end of 2017, coming into 2018, there was so much like visual media, memes, little videos, little funny things that were getting everyone interested in crypto.
When
Moon. So the perception shifted to like, this is a get-rich quick thing. People, you can make millions. Like, this guy.
I blame BitConnect.
But the thing people don't like, yeah, BitConnect was a huge thing too. But the thing people don't realize is that like these people that made millions quickly in Bitcoin, they didn't make it quickly because they bought in when it was so low. They were holding on to that for years until these big bull runs, right? So it's all a matter of perspective. Like, there's a lot of people that got in at the wrong time, and it's just lack of education. And hopefully we're going to see a trend going up again, and people will be smarter and give better advice this time.
Yep. Yeah.
I think people should be giving better advice because they kept emphasizing the storage value. So when things went up to 10, 20, people were thinking, oh, it's going to go to 100 or whatever, like it did the last run. And then we're now, around 38, 37? I haven't checked in a little bit, but it is crashed. And I think we really weren't emphasizing the fundamentals. Like, this is going to take time. And people were expecting that quick scream. And I just don't know if we're going to have enough new people coming into the space with the right perspective, because I think a lot of people are going to be very hesitant. I mean, that could benefit in the sense that some of these scams aren't going to get funded. But will there be enough new people coming in to keep the engine going? Because a lot of people have stayed, a lot of people have left, but we still need more people to come in to grow this space.
No, but we've only had 1%. Or just that's only like 1% of the people that we've had so far, right? We still have 99% of the people that are unaware or ignorant to this in general. And, with Cash App being the #1 downloaded app right now for all Apple devices, it has a portal right there to buy and sell Bitcoin right in the Cash App. And Cash App actually tweeted at me because I was asking them about peer-to-peer Bitcoin transactions, and it is in their roadmap. So they are going to be going to that Bitcoin to Bitcoin wallet, buying and selling kind of direction. And, again, being the #1 downloaded app, I think we have more than enough new blood waiting to come in.
I
But I don't think it matters about the perspective, though, is what I was coming
No,
at.
I think I think what needs to happen now is we need improvements in design. We need improvements in user interface. Like, these things need to be easier and quicker to use. No one gives a shit how a Visa card works, how the NFC chip works. They care that they can go up and tap and pay. And crypto needs to get that easy and that easily understood by people coming in. And I don't think we're there yet. Like, people are still trying to explain how a blockchain works to people.
Yeah,
Like,
Satoshi should probably start cracking the whip a little bit in that warehouse. He's a really shitty manager. I mean, this project sucks. It's like it's sort of like it's decentralized or something, and there's no order.
Crazy.
Yeah, I was taking a picture that I found very amusing. Those water jugs where you can put your coins or cash in, and you can fill up your like 2 or 3 gallon. They have a little box. It's like maybe like 2 inches where you can tap your debit or credit card. And I was just thinking, why isn't Bitcoin on there? There's Visa, there's Apple Pay. They had Apple Pay, they had Google Pay, and they had Samsung Pay, which I know Samsung Pay's out there, but I rarely ever see it. But it's on this water machine. I was like, Bitcoin should be right there.
So I just walk up and I tap my phone and I can put digital, like money in. That's cool, I guess. I wonder what the fees
and you can get
are
your
for
water.
all of this. Yeah, they could be using the
I'm
Lightning
sure
Network,
there's
and the
fees,
could be
but you're
a hell
not
of a
paying
lot
the fee.
cheaper.
It's up into the price. Yeah. But it was just thinking, like, we could be there, but we're just not quite there. And with the UI stuff, I've seen some improvement with the UI stuff this year. I particularly was impressed with my Ethereum wallet and the My Crypto wallet, where they have that tutorial that they force you to go through every time you log on to say, hey, this is how this works.
Well,
and
they got tired of people cloning the site and scamming people. Well, that's the problem, though. I think that's over-education. It's overbearing, right? Like, it's cool the first couple of times, and it sounds cool, like, as a gimmick. Like, I could send my grandma the My Crypto, and she knows not to get ripped off, but it's fucking tedious. And I really don't know if we're coddling people too much on the way up to mass adoption. I think we were blessed to have BitConnect so early in our lives, and this could have been so much worse, just like Mt. Gox could have been so much worse later on. Imagine Bitcoin at $20,000 a piece, instead of
it's a filtering
1,000.
process. It's like there's a funnel, and all these stupid people came in the funnel. And then right about here, Mt. Gox came and cut the legs out from a lot of people. And then the smart people stayed in, and they started getting pushed together
and then
more.
BitConnect and USI Tech and BitPT and all these ICOs, they all kind of did the same thing. Yeah. So I think what we have right now is like top quality, cream of the crop froth. The top.
I don't think that we are not quite overeducating people, because you have to remember, like, I remember as a child, all those learning things about getting on the internet. Or all those videos, like even to the point where it was...
That doesn't apply today, right? So you went through all that for what, 5 years of applicability or whatever the heck it is. Like, you can't even apply that today. So you're right, but I mean, it's almost like like I said, we're over coddling, because I think it'll be to the point to where it'll be like it's common knowledge.
It's going to be the point where we're going to be like, when I first got into Bitcoin, we used to have to go to an exchange, and like it's going to be like the generation talking about dial-up internet and modems.
That's exactly.
And the kids these days are like, "What do you mean you couldn't be on the phone? What do you mean you had a phone on your wall?"
That's what I think. I don't think we're going to worry about that, because there won't be so many centralized exchanges, and a lot of these wallets eventually will be weaned into having to give us our private keys. Mm-hmm. So no matter what, Coinbase eventually, if they want to survive, they're going to have to give us their private keys. And I think that's what's going to come down to, is us, the users, demanding.
I think we would be much further along if it wasn't for the fact, at least in the state side, that cryptocurrency is considered a property. I think that is a big hindrance, because you have to do the KYC and AMLs. I think that's such a big hindrance that is really bottling this space. Because we can develop a lot of these decentralized apps, or like, for example, on Android, the Samurai wallet, and what they're attempting to do and trying to do. And we can do all these workarounds. But with the SEC already cracking down on ICOs, I'm very deeply concerned when they're going to start going after wallets. soon, where you have to go onto a wallet and automatically enter your AML or KYC if you want to be on Apple.
Yeah, but that's fine.
I mean, Apple
if
just
they,
kicked off.
Well, that's fine though. That's only regulation to a centralized entity, right? So, we'll just see the developers that created those projects come together, collude, and they'll create decentralized versions of the centralized thing that was regulated into mandatory KYC and all that. Because the same people who built Poloniex are the same people who trade on Poloniex. You know what I mean? And now that it's mandatory KYC, all those developers are kind of kicking themselves in the ass. And I really feel like you're right. They will come for wallets next and submit like mandatory KYCs on everything. And you know how like Coinbase is eventually going to stop letting you like send money peer to peer and shit, or outside of Coinbase or something like.
Yeah, I can't pull my money out of Coinbase unless I submit my information. So it's just sitting there.
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
And I'm not going to give it to them. Yeah, I'm not going to give them my information. I mean, when I started, I didn't have to, or else I wouldn't have gone with that wallet, service.
But you can take your Bitcoin from your Coinbase wallet and send it to another Bitcoin address, right?
No.
It's stuck on Coinbase?
No, it's stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
That's criminal.
It's stuck. Yeah. It is very criminal. And
well, imagine using an exchange, right?
It's
like
fine
right now, Binance doesn't have any KYC for up to 2 Bitcoin for every 24 hours. So you would put 2 Bitcoin into Binance and leave it there for 24 hours thinking you can safely withdraw that without having to go through any hoops. Then they change their terms and services while your money's on the exchange, and you cannot withdraw that 2 Bitcoin any longer until you submit your KYC. So, going from tax reasons that you don't want to, implement yourself or whatever.
Well, that's the whole point. It's like, people are like, you shouldn't have to feel like a criminal because you don't want to pay taxes on more shit. We pay enough fucking taxes. If we don't want to pay taxes on our Bitcoin, this is a decentralized thing, and like that we need to get these systems in place that we can avoid it.
Right, or they need to just get in, right? Like this is an
like a saint. Who wants
this is
to
an
pay
opt-in
taxes?
or opt-out. Nobody's forcing. So
Exactly.
I think the government could opt into being Bitcoin miners, and they'll get their taxes there through the transaction fees.
That's true. I personally am not deeply concerned with the taxes. My concern is just my information. Especially with Mt. Gox getting out there, and face it, we've all been pretty much hacked.
Yeah, but the implication of them having your information is that
Equifax,
it's easier for them to push taxes onto you, right? So
yeah, or that they just have her information. Our
information
could be stolen.
Exactly, it's ridiculous.
I don't want to have to trust you with my driver's license and social security number. I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody.
They blackmail me and saying, "We know you haven't paid your taxes. Give us your money."
Right.
As a percentage of your Bitcoin, and we'll let you withdraw it, or we'll tell.
So where do you see this space going?
Or submit your information. That's
with the atmosphere the way it is right now, and these dominoes kind of being set up where everything looks like it's going institutional and regulation and centralized and pretty much against everything fucking Bitcoin stands for. People begging for an ETF, which could, and the futures, which couldn't have been more against what Bitcoin stood for. But like, where do you see this going in the next year?
I think we're going to go more gray. I think we're going to go more gray, more black. We just are. We already pivoted in that. You see things like BitSquare, or was it not BitSquare? They changed their name. It's a decentralized Bitcoin exchange. You're going to see more people figuring out ways to go peer-to-peer where they're able to exchange their funds and finances without KYC or AML themselves, and just being under the radar, under like this. And as far as the institutions, I think they've already been burnt. If we look at the people that get wise to the future markets, and Bitcoin is so much more transparent than the gold or property, like physical property, or any of these other ETFs that are out there, or any of that stuff. That people that are,
I just read a really interesting article earlier about the thoughts that a lot of these exchanges may be insolvent, and they're actually using the Bitcoin on, their cold storage that their users have. So it's
So
very similar.
They're
Yeah.
fractional reserve banking.
Yeah, fractional reserve banking Bitcoin right now, and you know we needed a more transparent way to audit these exchanges. But you're right,
True.
it is more transparent. But unfortunately, because of the centralization, because of the regulations, and because of these exchanges, it can actually be manipulated very badly. And I think it has been manipulated heavily on the way down.
It has. I think it has. I also think people forget to realize that when people bought at the top or between September and December, if they held it more than a year, they can, their tax situation is different. So if they're looking to get out, now would be the time for them to sell and take their losses and only pay 15%. So that's why I think
there's no losses on the year. We're still up for the year, I think. For the 12-month mark, I think we're still up, aren't we? Or no, we are.
We're down now.
Well, no, we're down now. Yeah.
If you bought at 18 and you're selling at 3.
Yeah, I forgot it's been that long. Wow.
Yeah.
It has been a year since we hit like 1820.
Dude, it's been like a year since BitConnect.
Damn, time flies, man. I was traveling over the damn world. Have you been to any conferences this year or anything? Have you attended any of these
I have not been
events?
into any conferences at all this year. I'm a little concerned for you personally, Ken, when you go out there, that someone's going to knock you upside the head and take your stuff.
I mean, that could happen to me walking in the streets of Philly. So, I mean, it is no different.
Sure,
it's no different.
But
no one's robbing Bitcoin people right now.
It's a little bit of...
Yeah.
Huh?
I said, no one's robbing Bitcoin people right now. They're giving us money. They're like, sorry, man. You must be going through a hard time.
Yes, this is true. But I would like to next year. My plan is to start going to a couple conferences, but I personally would like to go to more. There's a couple in my area of local meetups and engaging people there in that space. In my area, there are a lot more holders, you can say, than Ethereum or shitcoiners, as they call some of us out there that hold other different coins. And it's been very educational. Sometimes they're a little smug about it because they're holding, and then like they're right. It's like, okay, but the whole point of this whole space is to experiment. And
yeah,
you're
but
not going to know
hodlers
until
right
you
now
put.
are like leather-skinned, scarred Chucky dolls of like winter has come and went. You know what I mean? It's like we're
Some of them are.
We're some bitter fucking people right now.
Some of them are. Some of them are very they're like that, and there's some that are just like, hey, I've gone through this, and they're with a little bit of a glee, because some of us were like, let's try this, let's try that, let's get some experiment, let's try these concepts out here, and they're like, no, they're just stealing your Bitcoin. In some cases, they were right. In some places, it's nice to see whether something works or not. Especially like with figuring out how Lightning works. There's some people that hold, like, I'm not going to put my Bitcoin into the Lightning Network, and look where Lightning Network is now. I mean, it's crazy how it's grown this year. I think it's up to like 450 Bitcoin are within the Lightning Network right now. And you can make payments for...
there's payments that people are accepting Lightning payments right now. It's crazy. I've seen at least 3 platforms, like one that sells a VPN, one that sells routers, and another one I think that sells like mining graphics cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, and and it's now more acceptable, I would say, for a merchant in this space that targets this space and knows what the needs of the space are, to really accept Bitcoin. Before it was a little thing, people would do it, but now it's much easier because I have used Bitcoin to pay for certain things, to anonymize myself in a certain sense, and using BitPay, which was the service platform, like the coins I would send, and sometimes I would hold in like a wallet for a little bit on some of the platforms. I realized like the amount that I sent there, the value that they're giving me should be higher, but that's not what they're doing. They're giving me the dollar amount. They're taking my Bitcoin and giving me the dollar amount instead of the actual Bitcoin, and that frustrated the hell out of me to the point where I just went back to using my credit card or debit card, because it's like, you're just jipping me anyways. So why am I going to spend my Bitcoin when I can like hold and wait for the value to go up and then, spend it on your platform or something like that. But now with Lightning Network, it's just instantaneous, and there's no middleman. It's going straight to their wallet. Maybe they're not going to exchange it out for cash or anything like that.
I'd like to be like I like to be the devil's advocate to Lightning Channel not being a middleman, and it is. It is a middleman. Like, you know what I mean? When you say there's no middleman, I get it. Like, everybody says that. I just like for cover, like kind of covering that for the noobs, because I remember when I first got into Bitcoin, it was pitched to me as this anonymous, completely free to send anywhere at anyone, whatever, you know, store of value thing, and I've come to learn that it's pretty not free, and it's not anonymous.
Not anonymous.
Yeah, and that middleman, the transaction fee kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Can we change this to middle human?
Middle human.
Middle person?
Middle person, yeah.
Middle human.
There can be middle women, Ken.
Yeah, the middle person is the Lightning channel. And I like that there's multiple ways to use the Lightning channels. Like, you can use fastest, you could use cheapest, you could use options, so you could run your own Lightning channel and choose to use that one no matter what. All different ways to use it, really. That's what really cuts out the term middleman, because, or middle person, because, you know, it's an opt-in. You have an opt. It's not mandatory, so it provides to the ecosystem, the network. So like that fee isn't really a tax. It's a, you know, you're contributing to something. You're not being ripped off. It's optional, stuff like that. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit. But have you ever actually used the Lightning channel, like with a friend, or to send like crypto? Have you opened one, closed one? Have you ever had any experience with it?
I haven't had any experience with it. I've been trying to build my own Lightning channel and stuff like that, working with the different programs and trying the different ones. And I plan on, probably towards the end of this year, to have my own Lightning node, Bitcoin node, and Lightning node, and just trying the different formats. Because what I like about the space now is that there's different options now. It's like the different types of wallets, or the different types of servers, or the different types of code, if you will. You don't have to run the Bitcoin core code. You can run this core code, or you can run this code or that code, and playing with it and seeing what the difference is, and how easy it is to implement, how long it takes to do it, actually looking at it and fiddling with it. And I'm not a very technical person, so it takes me a while to look at the stuff and check to make sure I'm downloading things correctly and implementing things correctly, and going through the command code and going through the tutorials and making sure I'm setting stuff up. Because I think the best thing for me personally is about doing this stuff myself. Yeah. Where before I had to rely on, like with banking, like I had to rely on the bank to set up my checking. They gave me my banking routing number and my checking number and what type of checks I had, and, you know, when I can deposit and when I couldn't deposit, and when I can withdraw my money, couldn't withdraw my money, and always hitting me when my direct deposit didn't come in just at the right amount of time, but somehow it was short, so that even though they still got their money, I still got a $35 overdraft fee, like bullshit like that. And having the ability to be able to control all that is something I would like to do. Now that it's more robust, I think I feel more comfortable, like going in and putting my own funds and my own skin in the game, if you will. Because if at this point, if it gets lost, it's still asked out, but at least I feel like I'm not alone in being asked out. I'm not like way out there hanging out on a limb or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's the Bitcoin Union
as in some cases.
Yeah, you know, that's the college tuition of blockchain, man. You know, you just go out there, you throw money around, you lose money, but you pay the fuck attention to how you lost it, so you learn from it, and it's not like it was lost, it was spent, it was invested. Even though it didn't gain value, you gained knowledge, you made an ROI. So, like, what were some of the worst mistakes? One, you know, maybe Sean, and then me, and then I could, like, you know, let people know, like I don't want to make my guests be like, oh, what dumb moves have you done? But like, what were like some of the mistakes that we've made in this space, and what have we learned from it throughout the year? And like I said, I'll let Sean go, then I'll go, and, you know, then maybe you can let the audience know, like, what kind of dumb moves we have done.
Definitely not backing up my seed keys and everything for my 2FAs. Like, at the beginning. And I'm still actually dealing with this crap, but I finally have it figured out. But yeah, I had 2FA on like a burner phone, on a separate phone, and it was in a drawer, and it was for like the coins that I couldn't take off and exchange. So I had them I had it just in a phone, so I could access them when I needed them. And
it's like your cold storage 2FA.
And like, just technology fails, and the battery in the phone fused into the phone and would no longer turn on. So I'm like, and I'm freaking out, and I'm actually holding funds for a buddy of mine through all of this. Brought the phone into a cell phone repair place, and it's finally ready to get picked up. It's turning on. So I hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have access to those funds again. It's not a lot, but it's still the fact that, like, dude, I'm in crypto. I should not be not having access to my funds, you know?
Wow.
But, like, just technology fails. Like, have a backup for your backup.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I did that with Ellie when I went to Omar Bam's in LA when I was there for the conference. I found out she didn't back up her 2FA private keys essentially.
Not even the first layer backup.
No, well, she has 2FA, but she didn't write down the back.
Yeah, that's
2FA.
what I mean,
I was like, you have to write those down. And she was like, but it's on my phone. I was like, no, but like if you lost your phone, where's the 2FA? You're still locked out.
Yeah.
So you need to write that down. And we went through the process of doing it. And yeah, dude, that's actually a really important lesson. So good
It's
cover.
just laziness, man. I'm lazy. I'm super lazy.
Fucking
People
stoner.
lazy.
For me personally though, it was I kind of FOMO'd and I was going through like oh, I'm gonna get rich. This is amazing. I am a savant at trading. I'm the best there ever was. Can you bring me that Gatorade, by the way? I love you. And I was trading on Poloniex, and I was in the troll box. Remember? Were you ever in that? The Poloniex troll box. Anyway, they canceled that right before Goldman Sachs bought Poloniex for $350 million. But I was talking shit, and this was, I think, during... I think it was like Bitcoin Dark and Bitcoin something. There was like these two crazy Bitcoins that kept pumping. It went up like 2,000, 3,000%.
Yeah, there was Bitcoin Gold.
No, it was way before that.
Those ones.
Yeah, it was like...
No, it was before Bitcoin Gold,
Yeah, it was way before that shit, man. It was fucking pumping, bro. And I'm sitting there riding that shit, and like, this is at the time I'm still cool with Trevon James. So me and Trevon James are on the phone with each other, and he's like, all right, bro, let's buy. We're buying. He's like, all right, we're selling. Then we were just dumping around, and my dumb ass was doing like trolling in the troll box. And for some reason, I didn't put enough. I put too many zeros in on a sell order, so I sold like super cheap. Yeah, like the decimals are hard, math is hard.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, pretty much. I made it rain. I lost all the profits I made from that day and basically started from scratch. Because I think I added an extra 0 or 2 to the sell order, and I did the same dumb shit when I panicked and saw it, and I bought more than the market value. So I sold for under, bought back over, and basically decided to not do anything for like 2 days on a fucking computer.
So you did everything right, but just upside down and completely opposite.
Yeah, if you would have counter traded me and did the exact opposite, you'd be fucking great. Like there's an alternative universe me, and he's just
loaded.
balling right now because of this me fucked up. Anyway, like what were some of the things that you've run into? Because this space has been chaotic.
I've had a computer crash on me when I had like 4 Bitcoin on it, and I lost everything because I didn't back it up. And this was very early in the space. I didn't back it up. It was on a Bitcoin core wallet, so that's completely gone.
And it wasn't worth much.
The
so
only
who
thing
even cares?
Nope. And the only thing I had was like the public address, so I can always look it up. I didn't write down the private key because it's like, oh, you're supposed to be very secure. You're supposed to not write, do this or that. And I was like, okay, so I know what it is. I know where the public address is, so no one can snatch it or take it. I was like, whatever. But I did back up on computer, and it went. And so. Yeah, so I did
that with my Steam account, actually. I forgot to back up Steam, and I thought I was smart. I just logged in, right? Like, who cares? Mm-hmm. And my computer crashed, and I didn't back up my Steam private key, so I could not log back in. And that is why @Ken Bozak is like a ghost on Steam, because I can't use it.
Yeah, can't use it. Yeah.
First and only private key.
To be fair, though, I've been making bad financial decisions long before I got into Bitcoin.
Oh, same here.
Yeah, Bitcoin's not a bad influence, okay? We were fucked up degenerates when we got here.
Slightly less fucked up now.
What else have I done? I've invested in things that have turned out to be complete scams. There was a Dogecoin one where they were supposed to put on an event. I sent some Dogecoin that was worth up to about maybe $500 at the time, and they just
When
walked
was
away with
this?
my funds.
I've done Doge events. I've been to Doge events.
It was like around 2014, I think at the time. It was supposed to be like a charity event that was supposed to be like a walkathon or something like that, and it never happened. I trusted this person. He got a bunch of people at the time. He was trying to go hit up like all these different
people.
people.
Well, that's when Doge was doing shit like the fucking Jamaican bobsled team and NASCAR ads, and like Doge did some fucking cool marketing, man. So I could see where you would believe that this is going down. So don't feel bad. Like you were taken advantage of by an asshole.
Yeah, and the other thing was like I learned my lesson about backing the stuff up. So I had like USB sticks. I had like hard drives back up of stuff, and then I had paper stuff. And what had happened was one of my animals pissed all over my paper stuff. So I'm like, oh, because some of it I hadn't backed up or transferred. I was like, I didn't even think of that as an option.
You know what? I have this thing. Give me 1 second. I want to plug them because they're really cool.
Animals. What kind of animals do you have?
Okay. The only animal that is mine is this one dog. It's a Chiweenie. She's tucked away. But I have like 7 cats that live with me right now. So yeah.
7 cats.
Oh my
god.
That's a lot of cats. Are you breeding them? Are you gonna like start a little mini cat sled and? Yeah.
No.
Is that even illegal?
Is that legal to have 7 cats? And on this episode of Hoarders.
No. It's. I think you're only allowed to have like 4. I think it's the max of cats you're supposed to have in a house. You can't have 7. I think there's some max in them right now. But we have property and stuff, so it don't matter.
So this thing right here would have saved your ass, and I really like this. So it's called Crypto Key Stack, the Builder Stack, this thing. And it has a way for you to etch into metal your private keys. It comes with a little tool, so you have a Dremel, and you can write into these metal cards your private keys. And then you stack them and you press them and you lock them, and then you put it in a safe, so even if there's a fire or animal piss, your private keys are safe.
Another good thing is, if you have the money for it, it's a little on the high end, is Data Bunker. They've got this military-grade external hard drive that's like bomb-proof, fire-proof.
EMP, baby.
EMP-proof. They shot it out of a cannon. They've put it's pretty much a black box for an airplane. For personal
I know
stuff,
someone who has that, and it's a very sweet device. It's like that's something I need to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had like everything was like in different fireboxes, and I didn't think of the option wasn't cat piss. You know.
With 7 cats, that would be in my head every day.
Via chat. Yeah, no, that's crazy. So do you use any hardware wallets or anything? Like, what kind of software wallets? What are you using right now to hold and interact with crypto without giving, I guess, too much doxing out? But like, what are some of the things that you prefer? Because like, there's a lot out there. What are your tops?
I did like the Ledger wallet.
I used to,
but there was some issues with that, and that was about as far as I got was a Ledger wallet, because I was thinking the same thing with my hard drives and the backups that I've done is, how, especially with the was it Spectrum and stuff like that, how can we trust the manufacturer of the chips or even the software or the firmware and stuff like that? So I've been basically been sticking with paper and even the little hardware devices that I have, and other little methods that I've done that are not associated with hardware wallets. And I know that's still not safe, and I need to figure out, maybe not be as paranoid to figure out which is the best system for me, because, I can't keep things the way they are or even stashed at the different places I have stuff stashed at, because what if I need to access it? What if I need it for emergency purposes or something like that? And it hasn't quite happened yet, thankfully, but that could potentially happen. But I'm very, I think the problem with the hardware wallets has nothing to do with the actual individual companies themselves. It's just that they have to rely on other systems. other existing systems. It's not like you can make your own chip right now, really, like in your basement,
Soon.
like people do with those little 3D things.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. These hardware wallets, as I got into the space and learned more about them and ran into these
There's still a
issues.
pinch point.
Well, it sucks because like they update, right? Because the firmware becomes vulnerable over time because they're constantly putting out these bounties for white hat hackers to beat the black hat hackers to the firmware exploits. And there's been exploit after exploit after exploit, and what really kind of comes down to the problem is, look, if those papers that got wet with your private keys on them were on a hardware wallet, you would say, hey, my money's still safe. I lost my paper private keys, but I still have my hardware wallet. You know your PIN number, you plug it in, and it says mandatory update. Now you have to update it, and it says you're going to need your private keys to get your money back now. You're like, the fuck does this mean? You know, like,
yeah.
I don't want to go into a coma and worry about something stupid or even something like, you know, whatever.
You need to go back to those Nokia brick phones.
Yeah.
Those things were just indestructible.
They're still around.
Indestructible.
They're still around.
They have the new ones, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've
seen those things toss at people.
So besides Bitcoin and crypto and all this shit, what are you into? What's your fucking distraction from all this noise and FOMO and FUD? What do you do to tune out the crypto?
Geek stuff. I'm into like The Flash and Mr. Robot and Star Trek and talking to my friends and doing reviews of those type of shows and stuff like that. So that's basically been my distraction, is just geekdom, which is kind of what drove me into this space in the first place, because it's kind of like, you know, cyberpunk, digital money. That's what cyberpunk's, you know, and cyberpunk, you know, the digital world, the future, you just have credits and just go boop, 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 boop. That's what the future's supposed to be. And it was nice to be able to maybe potentially participate in something like that, or have a hand in its creation, you know, or influence, if you will. I wouldn't say influence, because I think right now we have so many influencers, if you will, in the space, and we're supposed to be decentralized, so we're not supposed to have leaders, but it seems in some cases we do or don't. I don't know. It's like I said, the space is a little weird right now, and I think what we're doing is, as you said earlier, with the whole Mount Gox cutting the legs, we're fleshing things out and getting to, like, you know, the strongest, if you will.
No, exactly.
But that's basically what I think.
No, it's cool. I actually thought Mr. Robot did a really interesting twist on, like, you know, the currency thing with, like, the e-cards or whatever they have from, like, that company. They give out their credits on a card, so... And Canada just did that. They like have this weird Calgary dollar that's a digital dollar that only is accepted in Calgary.
That website looks shady.
I don't know, man. It's weird. But yeah.
Of all the cities that would do that in Canada, it wouldn't be Calgary, man. Like, I don't know.
It's done. Did it.
It would be what, Toronto, Quebec?
Nah, it'd be like...
What city would do it?
Vancouver.
It'd be Vancouver. I live in Ottawa, so we're in, like, honestly, the most boring part of Canada, just because we're in the government town, like, so all the capital, where we got the prime minister here, it's all very, like-minded, close-minded people that want to work for the government and not really take any risks and have that town home, and, you know, they're kind of oblivious.
Everything's already working for them.
Everything's working for them.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's their mentality.
I used to live in Virginia in a place called Fedland, which is northern Virginia near the D.C. area, and they're around the Maryland, like D.C., like that, a little area like that, and it's the exact same thing. It's abysmal. The people just want to go work for the government, and they work guaranteed check and don't really want to do anything new, and it's very constricting, where you have to, like, basically escape and, like, run as
exactly.
far as you can.
And like, people like to think that I'm, like, kind of skeptical about my thinking, but people don't realize I did door-to-door sales in this province for, like, 7 years. So I've worked in every city, like, in Toronto and Montreal, everywhere other than Ottawa I've been to, and you really go door to door. You will see the mentality of a city. You will see, you know, the similarities of the way people are thinking, and, like, door to door is just harder in Ottawa. It harder than any other city I've ever done it in. And luckily I live here, but like, yeah, it's tough. It really is a regional thing. Like, it depends where you are, how much adoption you're gonna get, and, like, some towns are just, like, slower to the plate and, like, gonna be the last ones to adopt a technology or the last ones to hop on the train.
Well, that's going to be the thing. First world countries will be, and the even more privileged provinces
Because
within.
we're pampered.
You know, I like that Venezuela is the one taking the initiative here and kind of, you know, they have nothing left to lose.
I was just going to say,
look
there's
at
a
their
difference
government's
between
currency.
taking the initiative and like, fuck, what are we going to do? We need to do
Right.
something. You know, we're weighing our money to buy a cup of coffee. We might have a problem.
And it goes from Venezuela to even the state of Ohio in the U.S. is accepting Bitcoin for taxes, which is odd because I don't know many people that have Bitcoin that are excited to pay their taxes even with Bitcoin.
That's like making nerd money even nerdier.
Yeah.
It is making nerd money and even nerdier, but I think the space has to realize, like, the government will find a way to get its taxes. It always does. If it means taxing people, where just your existence, you have to pay like $30K a year just to exist.
Well, that's the thing.
They're going to find a way. So either come up with, yeah. So there, I think the eventually the government have to get into the cryptocurrency space with Bitcoin. I'm sure they're going to try the stupid petrodollar thing like Venezuela does, and it's going to collapse and fail. But
they're trying it with
they're going to have to get
Circle
into Bitcoin.
Pay.
They're going to have to
and Coinbase, that whole USDC coin. That's basically the US dollar's version of the petro.
And it's not going to work. It's going to fail. It's going to even be worth less.
Yeah.
It is, really. I mean, seriously. And it's just going to be very silly. It would be interesting to see what happens in the next 10 years is when it comes to governments and stuff like that. Because there's no prediction. Something can happen and everything changes. You know, you just don't know. Or there's a shift in the wind or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think it's very sad with the Venezuela situation because I think too many people are I wouldn't say giddy, but say pointing to Venezuela as an example for adoption for cryptocurrencies, for Bitcoin. And I'm like, these people are starving. Yes, they have to use Bitcoin to live. But that's not really the situation I want for everything to be crumbling and falling apart for people to use this as a means of living or existing or using that coin. I want it to be a thing of good, not just a thing of last resort. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad it's here for them. I really am, because who knows what the situation in Venezuela would be like if there wasn't Bitcoin. There could be more riots if there wasn't a Bitcoin in existence.
Thank God there's a plan B.
People didn't have that option to be able to get out. Yeah, if there was a plan B, but I would like it to be a much more malleable situation, a much more easier situation to where it is an option and something that you can opt into and build off of instead of just like, well, shit's hit the ground, this is what I have to do.
No, you're right. We need a more virtuous approach to this. I think we're coming up on an hour. I want to make sure we get everything covered. Was there anything that you specifically wanted to talk about, or anything that you wanted to make sure we kind of covered that we may not have had a chance to?
No, I just thought it was ridiculous that you're trying to book yourself for interviews to Stranger Podcast thing for almost it's all the way to February now. I was like, oh, I have to get onto this and see what's going on see what the craziness that Ken is coming up with here.
Thank you.
I mean, you are a trooper. Seriously, I think you were probably one of the better benefits to this space is just being out there and just being real about it. And more importantly, you're one of the few people in the space that says, I know, and is okay to say that. There's so many people that will never say that, no matter what. Like, I don't know something. They'll bullshit or fudge or hedge or whatever, but they will never say the words, I don't know.
Yeah, I've said that a lot in my life. That's a comfortable statement I am with making. No, because there's a lot I don't know. That's why I started doing interviews with a lot of these people in this space. That's why I reached out to people like Andreas and Trace Mayer and Tone Vase and all these amazing people, is to kind of ask questions, because I didn't know shit. And I've learned so much in the past, 3 years, to find out that I don't know even more shit. Like, damn, I've learned so much to only learn that I have so much more to learn.
Yeah.
So, I've dug a hole to my back to another hole and filled it. it's a weird feeling as I learn more. I realize I feel dumber. Like I know more, but I feel like I know a lot less now.
Yeah, and that was the motivation like behind my new show that I have, which is still really small, but it's like there's so much I don't know, and there's so many people that can teach me. So why not make a show where they're teaching me? Because if someone can get something through my thick skull, then other people will be able to understand it, you know? So
exactly.
That was my mentality. Like, I'm not... There's so many people trying to come across, like, experts. There's no experts in this space.
There's
You're not an expert?
especially when they say price. It is so frustrating. The price predictions and saying this and that, and it's just so frustrating. It's like, it's okay to say, I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah,
I don't know what the price of Bitcoin is going to be. I don't really know what blockchain is really about.
Yeah, no, man, nobody does because nobody really knows what the internet's about yet. It's still a fucking baby, and it didn't grow up to become what it wanted to do when it was grown up. And that's blockchain is like a fetus right now, dude. Don't push it out the nest. It ain't ready.
The way I see it is like we should honestly be happy that the big whales are manipulating the price right now because... Just think about it like from an outside perspective. If these huge investors and people with a lot of money see the value in pushing the price of Bitcoin down so they can accumulate it, then what you think they're going to keep pushing it down? They're going to manipulate it back up. Like these billionaires aren't going to miss a chance to make more billions when it's right in front of us with Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, Goldman Sachs acquiring Poloniex. You know, we got Circle Pay and everybody coming up with these, you know, stable coins. And from the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance to everybody else. Holy shit.
I feel like people's emotions, like there's like at least 10 articles a day that you can scroll through Facebook and see contradicting articles. Like it'll be like Bitcoin's going to the moon, Bitcoin's crashing, Bitcoin's in a death spiral, bankers love it, bankers hate it, governments are starting to accept it, governments want to destroy it. I feel like people just like hop from that emotion to that emotion. They wake up, they're like, Bitcoin's great, oh my god, no, it's spiraling out of control, Bitcoin's bad, oh, what did I do, I just wasted a year of my life. Oh wait, no, I found another article.
You gotta stop following CNBC Fast Money. I told you to unfollow Crypto Man Ran months ago. He's bad for your mental health. No, it's funny because you're right. Like even from Cointelegraph to CoinDesk, it's contradictory.
It is. It kind of reminds me of those tabloids where they have like the bat boy on the magazine and aliens this and Bitcoin that. It seems so almost fictitious of what they're saying. Like it's almost made up, yet it's reality and it's weird. It's like we're in a Jerry Springer show or something, and you're gonna find out who your daddy is or something like that.
Please be Vitalik. Please be Vitalik.
It's very weird, and yes. You know, but at the same time, I think it's good because when people can disregard certain people much easier now. Where before, like in the money space, like you have to go to Forbes, you have to go to Wall Street Journal.
Bloomberg
These are the economic leaders, or Bloomberg or something like that. And those people are owned by the corporations and manipulating, pumping. What's that one guy that got in trouble that was always like a buy, sell, and yell all the time?
Oh yeah, he had like the phone and the hammer and everything.
On the money channels.
Yeah.
Yes, and just like stuff like that, and
it was like the Billy Mays
quite
of
work
the
in that
stock
space.
exchange.
Yeah, I hate that guy. The fucking like
that
couch,
guy,
giant red phones and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Buy now.
I didn't know like circus freaks were into investing this deep, but damn, this is a side passion of this clown's.
Well, bright colors, loud people, they attract the minds of stupid people. So he did his job, you know.
All right, so I guess we can kind of wrap up here. This has been friggin' awesome, and I gotta catch up on Mr. Robot. I think they're on season 3, right?
They just finished season 3. Season 4 is supposed to start next year, and it's supposed to be the last season.
Yeah,
so I'm very
always a season
because it'll be the last
behind.
time I review the show.
I'm a binge watcher, so I just like wait until they're done.
Yeah.
And then I download a shit ton of torrents, or I just wait for it to hit Netflix or Hulu, whatever comes first.
It's on Prime right now, so yeah.
did Mr. Robot cover Bitcoin, or did they ever mention cryptocurrencies or anything like that?
Oh, Bitcoin's been from the very beginning, to the point where you see it in the background, to actually didn't mention saying like we have to destroy Bitcoin because it's anarchy, or else eCoin won't exist.
Okay.
Like,
Is that in season 3?
That was a plot point in season 3 where they wanted to like basically say we need to destroy Bitcoin. Yeah.
I'm excited for this season.
I feel like we're gonna split as humanity. We're gonna have like the under the ground, living in the sewers people that use Bitcoin, and then like the above. Remember that old Sylvester Stallone movie?
Oh shit! Yes.
The Demolition Man.
Demolition Man.
Yeah, we're gonna be like
eating rat burgers and then trading Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin is 1 Bitcoin, but that burger's made out of rat. I don't know about this. All right, look.
I declare myself Wesley.
I have a link to your info below, so everybody that's watching and listening, they can go ahead and check you out, check out your podcast, and get all that sci-fi nerdiness out. But why don't you give them a little verbal direction? Let them know where they can find you, platforms, Facebooks, YouTube's podcasts, all that stuff. Just let the audience know where they can find you and a little bit about your content and what you're up to and what they can expect. Basically, pitch yourself.
Shill.
Pitch myself? Okay, so you can find F Society RC podcast. That's the name of the Mr. Robot review show on any of the podcast apps, Apple, Spotify, Google Play. I think I am on Spotify, any of those platforms. You can also find me on the MTR network, Movie Trailer Reviews, where you can hear me talk about 12 Monkeys as well as the upcoming new season of Star Trek Discovery. And pretty soon we're going to be starting up again because that show comes back up in January. But you can also listen to the last season of Star Trek. It's a great show. I love it. I'm a very Trekkie person and stuff like that. 12 Monkeys ended. Sad to see it go, but there's new stuff always in the geek world. And that's pretty much where you can find me. Exactly. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm Hiroja Shibe, or my proper name, Alicia M. Snow, because Twitter banned my full name. And I'm still pissed about it.
Jack, you're a dick, Jack.
Apparently, I must have said something or whatever about it. It has to do with cryptocurrency. I knew it had to do with that because a lot of people were getting banned at that time. So I just created the new Twitter handle, which is what people do. So that's where you can find me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, man. This was really cool and interesting. And actually, if you're free, book another time to come on, because maybe we could do something less crypto-centric, because I love 12 Monkeys. I love, all this sci-fi stuff. I'm kind of a nerd myself on the DL.
DL?
I don't think there's... See, I use real shit. I talk in text. That's how fucking nerdy I am. I say, I'm the dude that says BRB. LOL, BRB. But yeah, no, I love all that stuff, man. It's really cool because, basically a stoner at heart. I just like getting stoned and watching these sci-fi films. And I think that, the whole 12 Monkeys thing is one of my most interesting and favorite ones. I think that besides that, Idiocracy and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy are up there. But, book another time to come on. I'd love to have you on here for a more sci-fi chat. Or maybe I could come on your podcast and we could talk about Season 3, Mr. Robot. I'm actually going to have to catch up now that the season's wrapped up.
Yeah, I would love to do that. We'll see if we schedule our times together and stuff, because I know you're out there, going from here to here. And so I want to make sure, we have the proper time and have fun doing this. But it's been great coming onto the show, and I hope everyone enjoyed our talk here.
All right. Hey, have a day.
You too.